What do I do?
How much do you bench?
So I have this friend.
Are gods really marshmallows?
Questions and answers.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ron Hudson, and welcome to Question and Answer. Each week I answer a question submitted to my website. You can ask your own question at pastorhudson.com/question. Just fill in the little box, put your name there, put your email if you want. I'll never reveal your name or email. That's just so I can write you back if I feel like we need to. So this week I have a question, and it's a pretty common question. I get this a good bit. And this is the question. It says, how do I know what God's will is? How do I know if I'm called to ministry? I'd like to answer this by telling a story. There once was a puppet master, and night after night he would tell stories of knights, and kings, and fairies, and frogs, and wicked witches, and clever children. And he sat behind a puppet stage, and he pulled the strings, magically bringing his puppets to life. And they would fight, and they would dance, they would sing, they would live, and even die at his beckoning. And one night a young man came to see a show, and the young man was absolutely mesmerized. He was blown away by the puppets. The stories made him consider his own life, and how he should live, and how he should love. And he came back many times to see the puppet master's show, and each time he would be prompted to better himself, to live more purposefully and love more passionately. And one night he stayed until everyone had gone home, and he wanted to meet the puppet master. And so the puppet master comes out, and he says hi, and kind of waves. And the puppet master isn't much to see. He's older and wrinkled, but there's this twinkle in his eye. And the young man gets right to the point. He says, "My life is changed because of your art. I, too, want to be a puppet master." And the puppet master smiled and said, "Not everyone can pull the strings." The young man assured the puppet master that he was willing to do whatever it took to learn to make these puppets come to life, just like the master does. So the puppet master agreed, and he took the young man on as apprentice. His first job was cleaning the puppet stage, and the first time he looked behind the curtain, and he was in awe by all the little strings, the complex pulleys and tiny curtains, the hooks and pockets for props and gimmicks. And day after day, the young man cleaned the puppet stage. Soon he learned the stories and assisted the puppet master, handing him props and puppets, and the puppet master began to teach the young man how to pull the strings. At first, the movement of the puppets was jerky and unnatural. The young man would get frustrated because his puppets never looked quite like the master's. But this just fueled him to try harder. The young man spent years honing his craft and focusing on pulling the strings until one day he realized he could make a fairy dance. He could make a knight sing. He could make a dragon fierce and a prince brave. And he knew he could even make a child happy, make a mother cry, and inspire a father to protect and love his family. And one night after the show, the young puppet master was feeling exhausted. The old puppet master had all but retired. He only showed up occasionally for the show. As the young puppet master cleaned the stage alone, he looked at all the little strings, the pulleys, the pockets, the props, tiny curtains, and he saw no magic, just work. He realized he knew what every string did. He knew that half the strings hadn't been used in years. He knew the props were always broke and had to be glued back together over and over. He knew that the puppets, they had no real life of their own, that their expressions were only because he pulled the strings. He thought to himself, this isn't magic anymore. He realized he'd spent years of his life just cleaning a stage and pulling strings, and he started to feel like the magic that he pursued was a lie. And then he thought the people that believed the magic were suckers for being tricked into changing their whole life just by watching some dead puppets manipulated by strings. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. And finally, he stormed off to the old puppet master's house. And he busts through the door and says, "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me it was all fake? Why didn't you warn me not to waste my life?" The puppet master smiled with that same twinkle, and he said, "I did. told you, not everyone can pull the strings. The truth is, the question is never, is ministry right for me? The question is always, am I right for ministry? In Matthew chapter 28, verse 19 and 20, it says, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations." This is Jesus talking to us. He's telling every one of us that is a Christian and a follower of Jesus to go make disciples of all nations, baptize them in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and teach them to observe all that Jesus had taught us to observe, and that he would be with us, that he would be with us. You see, you have to ask yourself this: what are the opportunities for ministry that God has put in front of me right now? And am I super excited to do those? I think if you're not happy, if you're not super excited, if you're not passionate about doing the ministry that God's put in front of you right now, I doubt that you're going to make it the long run. I doubt that you're going to be happy doing any other ministry anywhere else. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the stage, it's not about the strings or the puppets or even the puppet master. It's about the story. And at the end of the day, we tell the same story over and over for a lifetime. That's what we're called to do. The story of God who loved us, of us who were broken, rejected God, was stuck in a place unable to get back to God, and he loved us so much that he sent his son to die to make a way back to him. And if that story isn't enough for you, then no matter where you're at or what stage you're on, what gimmicks or props or anything else you get to do, it'll never be enough. The question isn't, is ministry right for you? The question is, are you right for ministry? And not everyone can pull the strings. Okay, so that's the question for this week. If you'd like to ask your own question, you can ask it at pastorhudson.com/question. Just fill in the little box there with the question, put your name and email if you want, hit submit, and I'll get the question and I'll try to answer it on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed week.